and sit down. Shut up and sit down.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Build, Paint, Play. I'm Dave, and this is Jake. He's just wrapping up some dinner. Fantastic, how you doing?
I'm good. I can't complain. Another decent week. Got some work done for you actually.
Yes.
And then working on some other stuff too. So.
Yep, definitely cool. It's been crazy. It's been a wild week. Lots and lots and lots of. If it was like a regular other person job, like a real world job, it would be loads of overtime. Yeah. But because it's for me, it doesn't get to be overtime.
Yeah, you just have to get it done.
It's got stuff to get done. So, but yeah, loads of awesome stuff. So, the books, so the Art of volumes 4, 5, and 6 are like this. They're all this close now to going. All the edits have come back from everybody. I just got to go through, pump them all in, have a final look through myself. Talk to the artists, any final tweaks we're going to make, and then hopefully I can get them off to the printers, maybe Friday, maybe next Monday. We'll see. Nice. Yeah. And then, of course, tremendous Tome of Epic Dungeons. Everything's ramping up for that. Spent a lot of today working on images for marketing and advertising and that sort of thing, which will kick off very soon. Talking to some different folks about their involvement, lining up meetings for later in the week, and it's time to get that all looking good. Hooray!
Nice. I think I pre-sold you a couple copies of the new tome of the new Tome of Dungeons.
Excellent.
Some guys were in my shop and they were looking at the Army Painter new kit that has like. Yeah, it looks just like that. No, not that.
Not that one?
That
okay.
Like the one that you can make dungeons with.
The Game Master set, yep.
Yeah.
Another one.
So I was showing somebody that, and one of the guys knew what it was, and one of the guys didn't know didn't understand what it was.
Right.
And it was really funny. I was going to go over and talk to him, and I knew one of the guys, and I was like, I'm going to listen to what he says.
Yep.
And he goes, oh, sorry, I'm too quiet. Is that better? Is that better? Oh. Is that too quiet? Was that?
Let me see.
Somebody said I'm really low. I can.
Yeah, but maybe bump your volume up a little bit. Yep.
You did, or you want me to?
I've bumped you up a little bit here.
All right, yep. How about now?
How about now? No, well, keep talking so they can hear.
Okay. So I'm listening to these two guys talk about it, and the one guy goes, "Oh yeah, this is like an old school kind of. This is like all the skill set that people used to have to like make your own terrain, because nobody sold terrain. So you used to be able to get pink insulation foam at like Home Depot or something, and then you'd. What the heck is wrong with my mic? I'm trying to like adjust my volume, and it's just
there we go.
Is that better?
I know what the problem might be. Let me go and check this. Let's try that now.
All right, I will continue talking. Is that better? Hopefully that's improved. I don't know. Well, it's going to take a second for somebody to post, but yeah. So you used to be able to, if you wanted to make your own terrain, you had to go to the Home Depot or something, and apparently that worked. And apparently,
let me just tell you what it was. So there's a setting.
Yeah.
Here, well, it's actually probably over here as well, but where it's either picking up the MacBook speakers. So it's not picking up this. Or I can switch to everything where it's this and the desktop audio. so it's
Okay.
getting it directly from Discord rather than speakers to my microphone to going through.
Okay. Well, it seems like
It's
it
working
seems
out.
like it's good right now. Right now, when I talk, normally it should just barely hit the yellow, and now it is. So, um,
Right.
so anyway, so these two kids are talking about it, and the one kid's like, "Oh yeah, you used to have to do all this stuff by hand, like nobody made terrain. So you'd buy like sheets of pink insulation foam, and you'd get balsa wood and things like that, and you'd make your own kind of stuff." And one of the kids was like, well, "How do you cut it?" And he's like, "Use a heat knife." And he's like, "What's a heat knife?" And I was like, "It's essentially a piece of wire that you run a current through, and it gets hot, and then it melts the foam, so you can cut it instantly." But so that kit is great. It comes with everything. It comes with like terrain and a bunch of like pieces and like sheets of plastic card and like all the kind of like. It's a great starter set for like if you wanted to build your own table. So this one kid was like, "That is the coolest thing ever," and I was like, "If you like that, have you picked up Mel's terrain book?"
Right.
And one kid goes, "Yeah, I have it, and I love it." He goes, "Mel has some absolute gems in there,"
Yep.
and I was like, "Well, yeah, like the guy knows what he's doing." So then I said, "You should get the new one they're putting out." And he's like, "What's that?" And I said, "Go on Dave Taylor Miniatures, or if you watch last week's episode, Dave and I have been putting it like in the comments underneath. I was like, you can just click on it, but it's all about like setting up dungeon boards and making big like scenes and scenarios and kind of stuff. Like, but it's I was like, if you liked Mel's book, you'll dig this." And they were like, "Oh, cool." So hopefully we got you a couple more people to sign up for it. So
Awesome. It's super cool. That's great. No, it's all sorts of fun getting all that sort of stuff ready. But unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to do any more painting. I can't remember if did I show you the converted Marigal last week?
yeah.
Okay, cool. Radio.
I mean, I'm sure everybody will be psyched to see them again, but yeah, he's good. I like his giant demon toes.
Yeah, down here.
That's the best.
Yep. And one of the things I'm really quite happy with is the shading on his. Oh, it's not showing up too well on the camera, but the shading on his leg and the script work.
Like down the bottom of the greave.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good.
So.
I like all the chains and stuff too.
Fun.
All the chains and stuff. It's cool.
Yep. And that was fun. The hazard stripe cables are always fun.
Oh goodness. Yeah, I very rarely do hazard stripes on cables. Just like I don't need to do that to myself.
Yep, for sure. I'm wondering, you probably could do it, but I don't work with the masking tape. Yeah, I have some friends who work with the masking tape. You could probably go along and loop it around. It might be a little bit tough on a curved surface, but if it was like a straight cable,
yeah, that's true.
Around, it'd be easier.
Oh, yeah, Cliff brought up a good point. I forgot about the old How to Make War Games terrain book.
I think it's over there.
Yeah, I'm assuming you have it, but
I think so. Yeah, but I have Mel's book right here. Whee!
Yep, good stuff.
Essentials. So I have that. But yeah, so just quickly, hi Chris, hi Scott, hi Jeff, hi Eric, hi Jim, hi Ryan, Cliff, and Josh. Excellent. Yes, Josh, this is where the cool kids are.
Yeah, all of them.
Nice. Yeah, the other thing that happened as well is my shirt came in.
Yeah, I like them. I think they came out really good. Like there was a little bit of a concern. Hank was not super stoked about so you see the cog?
Yep.
So originally the cog was another shade of gray. It was like a really light kind of sandstone. And then the paintbrush was that same color. And then I think something else was that color.
So there's the hat, the cog, and the brush tip. Yeah.
Originally the brush handle was a different color gray.
Oh, okay.
And then there was another color gray that was the cog. And we were trying to keep the price down so that we could raise more money for Jim and Cathy. So Tim Toole and I got on a conference call and we kept like messing around with stuff.
Yep.
And I was like, what if you made the front bottle like red and then you made the label yellow and then we got rid of that other gray? So we cut out two colors to keep it under the limit.
Yep.
And I think it looks great. I think it reads really well. At first, I think when he saw the photo, I think Hank was a little like not psyched about the cog, but even he was like, yeah, they came in, everybody loves them. They came out really good. So I think it looks good. I like it.
Super cool.
And you get Cathy's little stuffy monster on the side there.
Yep. I can't remember what they're called, but
I think it's an ugly doll.
You're right. I think it is. Yep, absolutely. But yeah, so excited about that, and yeah, hooray! Otherwise,
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad they came out good. I'm super stoked.
Yeah, no, definitely good. Did you get any painting done? Assembly painting? You've been working too hard.
Yeah, dude, I've had like zero free time. I've been working on. I told you about the whole short story thing, didn't I? Like I panicked myself and then realized that I had like cost myself a week. So I'm doing a short story. I'm helping get another project with a friend of mine up and running. I was editing the 4th volume for you.
Yep.
I have 2 big painting commissions, and then I've been obviously trying to just run my own business, which has been a lot. So in addition to that, this other friend of mine was like, "Hey, I'm gonna need your help. I'm working on this big project, and I'm getting ready to go to all these different shows. Can we put some time aside?" And I said, "Sure." So like my bandwidth, I've had like no bandwidth,
Right.
But the guy who I was doing the two painting commissions for, he threw another one at me now, which is like even more like this one's a ton of colors and he wants it super fast. And I was like, it all costs money, but sure. And he was like, great. He's a super nice guy too, so like I don't mind doing it. But in terms of like I haven't gotten to paint anything yet. I've basically built I built a handful of models and I sort of like proxied them all up because I wanted to see what the bases would look like because I have to do the bases separate.
Okay.
But that's all I've gotten done at this point.
Right. Cool. Well, fingers crossed things will calm down for us both in a little bit in the next in a month's time, maybe.
Maybe.
Excellent. Did you? No, sorry, Scott. Title 2 of this. Sorry, the episode 2 of this show was not titled "Keep the Kids Out of the Hobby."
I don't think that's what it was.
No. We can use TikTok to bring them into it. That'd be fine. But I don't understand TikTok myself, so I'll stick with my Instagram. But Joe said my shirt came in 2, ordered 2, only got 1. Ooh, it's not here tomorrow. Send customer service a note. Yeah, definitely hit them up. I think Hank is out of the country at the moment.
He's in Milan, being all fancy.
Yeah, he might have fled the country with your other shirt. I'm sure he'll be back though. Interested. Also says Dark Sword has a Cathy Wappel miniature available, and if I recall correctly, Reaper will be releasing a version 2. Let's scoot quickly in then to the news. And
do you have a picture?
Where? Yep. Give me a sec. Here we go. There's a picture of it. So, yeah, super cool picture of Cathy with a big like sun emblem on her shield. She is always bright and sunny. It just looks super cool. And that same ugly doll is there as her sidekick, as her helmet bearer.
That's so good. Like that's a great paint job. It just looks awesome.
Yeah, it definitely does. And hair's perfect color too.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're absolutely correct, Josh. So I think Dark Sword is selling it at the moment in metal. So it's available now, and then in November, December, I think, sometime around there, Reaper will be releasing it in Ceocast. So depending on the type of material you would like, you are being serviced by 2 friends of Cathy. So originally I thought the rays coming out of the sun were paintbrushes.
They are not. That would be pretty cool, but they are.
It does kind of look like that. The paintbrushes are birthday candles, but no, I think they're rays from the sun and rivets around the edge.
I think there's paintbrushes on her shoulder pads.
I think they might be. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, super cool model. Great stuff. There is a link to Dark Sword's page where you can pick up the Cathy tribute model as well. So, Jeff's here, Dragonforge Design. Hey guys.
What's going on, Jeff?
Welcome, Jeff. Thanks for joining us. Yes, so we have that. Yeah, we're getting ready for the next thing, doing the switching of stuff. But yes, I mentioned earlier. I'm going to mention it again because I have to. Tremendous Tome of Epic Dungeons. I spent this morning doing a whole bunch of images for marketing purposes. This is one of them. So this has got a super cool. I'm going to have a feature on a dungeon by a French builder called David Merrier, I think. He goes by Horchar on Instagram. And he's working on this awesome epic build, which is all hand-carved foam and cast plaster. And it just looks spectacular. So I'm really excited to be able to put that into the book. But Kickstarter starts next Tuesday. Then so you can go to the link below and click on the pre-launch link and sign up for that kind of thing. So it should be good.
It does. It has a very Lord of the Rings vibe to it. Jeff said it looks like Dumbledore. It does.
Yeah, it's got a definitely Lord of the Rings vibe. All of the pieces, like as he's been working through them and putting them together in different arrangements, it's got there's a Dol Guldur vibe. There's a Moria, kind of like a human version of Moria vibe. Lots of arcing.
Dave, I'll be right back. My dog is chirping. I just want to make sure she's not hurt. I'll be right back.
Okay, sure thing. I've been left alone. What shall we do now? Okay, so fingers crossed everything is okay with Rhino. It does look great. But, yes. I can never talk by myself. I just always need to bounce off somebody. But, yes, the LOTR look is implausibly large statues. You're absolutely correct, Jay. Thanks for joining us. Looking good. But, yeah, I think, well, we may as well get started on some stuff. You guys are in the chat, so you can chat back to me. I can talk to you there. Tonight. Ooh, look at that. Wait. Let me forget to do those things. There we go. So we have this sweet, you never by yourself, Dave. This is true. Sweet piece of orc artwork from early days of Rogue Trader. Josh, when I say the Kickstarter goes live next Tuesday, so October 25th, probably around noon Eastern time. But moving on to today's topic, Orcs for Orktober. It's kind of a funny one because neither Jake nor myself have a lot of orcs. I have some orcs floating around in different places. I did manage to just find a couple of sprues for the from the Orc Knobs box set that I painted up one of these guys back in the day for a charity project. They're saying earlier today when I was preparing for the show, I was like, I wonder what I've got. I had two orc sprues down here.
What orcs do I have?
What orcs do I have? I got some of those. I used to have about 1,200 points of Goths. But probably about 8 or 9 years ago, I sold those to get some car repairs done. Oh, crazy! Sorry, just been distracted by Jim's news.
Yeah, I hope that's wrong.
Pour one out for the Orcs' greatest adversary, Yarrick, rumored to be left out of the New Guard Codex. I mean, it's possible. It's maybe they'll give him a legendary unit or something like that. But
you can still run them.
Oh, for sure, yeah, totally. I think hopefully there'll be something where you could probably custom create a Yarrick using the Castellan and Warlord traits and relics and that kind of thing.
Well, but with the current rules, as long as it's a unit that currently is available in the range, right, and it has rules, it'll be in the, like you said, it'll be in the Legends thing.
Right. Yep.
So even if it's not in the Codex, you still have access to it. Like, it drives me nuts, but there's still like a Blood Angels like glitch in their like Codex Matrix C, which is I almost always run an apothecary with a jump pack, but it's not an apothecary, it's a sanguinary priest with a jump pack.
Right. Yep.
and there is no entry for that anymore.
Oh, okay.
And I was
Yeah.
like, what? So like you can run an apothecary and give him a jump pack, but that's like a squad upgrade. Like you used to be able to take a sanguinary priest and you could run him as your HQ
Right.
or an elite choice and give him a jetpack, and there's no way to do that now. And I was like, well, you can still run him because he's in the legend.
There's a way to do it.
Yeah, it's
There
so
are
weird.
Ways to achieve it, but yeah.
Yeah, Yarrick is pretty awesome. Oh, speaking of Yarrick and speaking of guard, I know we're supposed to be talking about Orcs. Like,
straight off Orcs.
We are, but like talking about Yarrick. Did you see the new Attilan Rough Riders?
I did. Yeah.
They look awesome.
They do look fantastic. They look.
I'm pretty excited. I think they'll be super cool.
They do. They do look awesome. I love them. We've just seen that one where the horse is landing from a leap. So it's got the two horses, the hooves on the, or one hoof on the ground, kind of thing. I've seen some mention where somebody's like, "Oh, GW must be missing Bretonia because it's very Bretonian," and it's mainly because of the cloth, I guess, the cloth armor at the front.
Yeah, the barding,
the barding. There we go. Thank you very much. Yes, the cloth barding.
I like that it only has barding on the front.
Right. Yeah.
Because the idea is like they're a charge heavy unit. I think it's super cool.
Yeah, definitely good. Sorry, it's because I hear you, Jake. It's sad how few options and new models Space Marines get.
It's rough. It is rough.
Totally rough. But yeah, I saw those. They were fantastic. In an amazing sort of zeitgeist kind of thing as well. Like a couple of weeks ago, Victoria Miniatures showed off a new Rough Rider that she was working on.
Okay.
And so this week she showed or today I think she showed another one. Where she sculpted the horse digitally and sculpted it in a standing pose. This is the first time she showed this first model that she'd tweaked and adjusted the horse into an action pose. So, but yeah, they're looking good. I think she's going to do a Kickstarter on those with in Seercast as well. So.
I think up until they release these, we had a kid who comes into the store all the time and he wants to run Rough Riders, and I was like, "Well, you could just buy cavalry and convert them." And then the more we talked about it, I was like, "You should get the steampunk cowboys that the Mechanicus have." I was like, I would just get them and convert them. Like the robotic horses are perfect.
Yep.
For Rough Riders, like they'd be great. So.
Yep. Definitely.
Yeah, James said that he likes they kept the horses natural. There's no bionics or anything, which I dig. I like that they have the I forget what it's called. It's like the mantlet,
the blinkers,
like the cowling. Yeah, they have the blinkers on like the horse, so they won't get distracted by stuff.
Blinders?
Yeah,
blinkers.
Yeah, blinders. I thought those are really cool. And then Scott, like the Forge World Deathcore stuff is great. My problem with that stuff is like, A, it's Forge World, which I don't appreciate. But B, everything in that whole range is super skinny. Like it's very, very thin and very small. So they look undersized. Even like if you put them with all the current Catechin stuff, it looks weird. Like they just look they go a little undersized.
The Catechin stuff's always looked oversized though. But anyway.
But I mean if you put them with anything, if you put them with just the current Cadian range, like they look a little smaller.
Yeah, you're correct. That's true.
But
the
Rough Riders, and I don't want to spend like $100. I also don't want to spend $100 for 5 horses.
But you will.
Sure.
I totally would. But anyway, I think back here I have the Commissar. The Commissar from that.
Nice.
But yeah, Deathcore skips leg day.
Oh, they 100% do.
Awesome. Well, it's so that you can fit more of them into the Gorgon assault vehicle.
That's true.
If they were all plumped up, you wouldn't be able to fit 50 of them in.
Yeah, there's not a lot of chonky guardsmen.
But anyway, now that we've been completely derailed from talking about orcs by...
You know who guardsmen like to fight? Orcs.
Well, actually, they don't like to fight anybody, but they will. They just would prefer they didn't have to fight. But yeah, orcs. So up on the screen, I've got this image. We're trying to work out where it was from. Is it from Freebooters or Wada Orcs?
So that's the original Orcs Codex.
Like, well, the Rogue Trader books.
Yeah. That's first edition Orcs.
Orcs, yeah.
That's the first edition Orcs book.
Yeah. but I can't remember which one it's from. But it is super cool. Evil Sons fighting Death Skulls, which makes me think it's freebooters. But yeah, absolutely awesome.
So good.
So I was mentioning to you. Oh, sorry.
My favorite in this picture is the random guy, and if you look straight down the middle, on the right, on the Death Skull side, there's the orc wearing like black space suit armor with a white orc skull face on his face.
Oh, yep, I see it. Excellent.
The best.
Jim says, "Here we go." Do you mean that it's from Here We Go? It could be.
Is that Dave Gallagher's art? I think that's Gallagher's art.
I think it might be, yeah. Yep. But no, it's definitely cool. But yeah, I was mentioning before the show that that today I went and did some research on the origins of orcs. Because we're not just here to talk about 40k orcs, right? Not just orcs with a K,
right,
but sometimes orcs with a C. Yes. Oh, hey, Rich. Yep, the picture is also on the old plastic orc box.
Yep, I remember that.
But I got to admit, I was kind of surprised that the first time that orcs or creatures described like that have the name orcs that are essentially a bit like what have evolved into over time was Beowulf, the poet, the original poem, the saga.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Beowulf from like 10th century AD, which kind of explains why Tolkien included them, because he was a big fan of that, and really was setting up Middle Earth as a prehistory to Earth itself.
I could see that.
Yeah,
I do love Tolkien. I've been watching the Rings of Power show.
Okay. Yep.
Pretty good. I like it. The pacing is a little weird at places, but it's really good. It's done really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if that's the original, and I know that they've always been kind of like a mythological, depending on where you are.
It's one of those things where I think goblins have been.
Yeah.
Goblins have been around a lot. There was a story or poem written in like the late 1500s where they were kind of described as like hell devils.
Okay.
And goblins kind of thing. It was the term was interchangeable. But yeah, it wasn't really until Tolkien that he sort of established a look and feel for the orcs and their approach to life that pretty much everybody since has based their orc folk, their greenskins or their brownskins or their blueskins, whatever it happens to be.
Yep.
On Tolkien's work. Scott says, okay, let's settle it. Beowulf spelled with a C or with a K. I don't think you'll find a C or a K in Beowulf.
But the orcs that you find, I bet, are spelled with a C.
C, yeah, with a C.
Yeah, for me, it's always been, if it has a K, they're sci-fi orcs. If it has a C, they're fantasy orcs.
Yeah. Well, what about Orcs?
Yeah, that's Games Workshop trying to make up a proper noun. like there's no such thing as orc.
Like orc.
Yeah.
Orc.
They're like, well, we can't. They're like, we don't own orc. What if we mashed two words together?
I think it's funny because that they've made up a whole bunch of other stuff in the past that you're quite happy to accept.
Yeah.
But it's like Orcs. No,
look,
they're orcs.
I'll be honest. I still call all of the armies by their original names. They're right. Sisters of Battle. They're orcs. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not the dark elves, like Dark Eldar. I'm like they're Drukari. I'm like, sure, that's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's even in Tolkien, there's so many versions because you've got the orcs.
Yep.
And then there's the Uruk-hai, which are like magically created orcs.
Yep.
So
that was part of the part of my research as well. Was what were how were they made? Because there was something I'd heard before the movies were released after I'd read the series originally, the idea that the orcs were essentially made from elves. They were tortured elves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And corrupted elves. And in the Wikipedia article, which is my research, just so you know, you can go and have a look at it for yourself. Just type in origins of orcs. It will come up that essentially, yeah, first up, when they were originally created, they were, what you call it, corrupted elves, and then they could then go on to breed and multiply like elves and men. So there would have been female orcs and male orcs at some point.
Right on.
But then later on, they were a crossbreed of elf and beast or man and beast to create the offspring would be an orc. And then I'm not sure when it changed when the process moved on to magical slime in the ground. But
nice.
all of those stories were written by Tolkien about a progression of creation. So yeah, the Urukai, yep, born out of rock, basically. So
yeah, I'm assuming Christopher Lee just like muscles that into existence. It's Christopher Lee. He can do whatever he wants.
Sure. No, I think it happened. I think it was pre-Saruman. It's like Sauron wasn't the first to do it.
Okay.
But he just latched onto it hardcore.
He's like, I can do this better.
Yeah. I don't need none of those stupid Mordor orcs. But there's also
like, I'm gonna bring this entire thing in house.
Yep. Exactly.
Cut down on my overhead.
But Eric, Eric says it's from the Silmarillion. I think you're correct. Yep, that's where all that ancient history would be found. I'm not going to go back and read it. If anybody else wants to read it for me, that would be just fine. So, says an orc singles mixer is not a place for the faint of heart. I don't think it is. Oh my goodness. Have we lost Jake? Or is he just pretending to stare at the screen? I think we might have lost him. Are you there? Jake? Anyway. And yes, Jeff said at one point GW made them into fungus and they grew in the ground from cast off orc skin cells. Yep, that's still they still have that in there. So obviously there was a time in. Oh, and now we're switched around. Is he coming back? No. But yes, there was a time there were female orc cheerleaders for Blood Bowl. But then he sort of decided that Blood Bowl was a separate area, separate world, separate time frame to everything else, and I think 40k orcs became the fungus. But sorry everybody, just let me give me a second. He's back! Hooray! I was just about to text you.
Yeah, sorry.
What happened there?
I was moving around and I accidentally kicked the power supply under my desk and mashed it against the wall, and it flipped the switch and killed everything. And I was like, "Oh, okay."
It was funny. It was just like you were there for the longest time. I didn't know if you were still there or you were just pretending to be still.
Nope, sorry.
Excellent. But yeah, while we just moved on to Jeff saying at one point we made them into fungus. No, so I think we kind of moved on from Morgoth, but yes, Eric said Melkor created. So yes, Melkor was created them before he became known as Morgoth.
I really like the the 40K lore about how the 40K space orcs are spores.
Yep.
Like they're like a fungus spore driven thing. There's a super I think they touch on it in the xenology book, but there's this really cool idea that which Dave has. There's this really cool idea that at some point between the grand expansion into the galaxy and like 20K, like between 10K and like 20K, you have like the sort of the first golden age of technology where like mankind spreads out, and then from 20K to 30K you have like the dark times kind of thing where like at the end of it the emperor like kind of rises to power. But one of the ideas is that basically at some point back then, before all the warp storms cut everything off and humanity gets kind of like cut to ribbons, that some scientists on some frontier world basically created a weaponized bioform that you could use for whatever, and the idea is it just gets away from them, like it gets loose. Right. And like it takes over the planet, and then like that's where the first orcs come from. That they are literally they're like a bioweapon that were made in like a human lab somewhere, like they got loose.
Great. I hadn't read that part. That's
God, that's amazing. That's why they all have like that's why they all speak English. That's why they all speak English, because the thought process is that, and people have kind of messed with this theory, but the idea is that there's some random planet like way outside the galactic fringe. It's like the farthest human settlement, and then these like couple of like British descendants who have Cockney accents make these things, and then they like get loose, like it gets out of the lab.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's super cool. Awesome. But yeah. So we've covered a bunch of different orc stuff there. We haven't done it very coherently, but that's fine. But I was telling Jake as well before the show, I grabbed like 3 art books that I figured would have some really cool pictures of, lots of really cool pictures of orcs. The first one that I grabbed wasn't Xenology. The first one I grabbed was The Battle for Armageddon,
where they're literally fighting orcs.
It's only for like the Imperium is fighting orcs
third time.
The whole time.
And like you can't get rid of them.
Exactly. And so in here there are basically 3 pictures, 3 pieces of art for orcs. So the first one is that one, cover from the Armageddon campaign book.
Yeah, it was the Armageddon Codex. Yep.
Armageddon Codex. Yep.
So in that book we got Gazgul, you got Steel Legion, you got Commissar Yarrick.
Yep. You got Gazgul, you got Speed Freaks. Was the list. There's this one. I'm gonna know your foe, which is pretty cool. So on the gun it says that the enemy's primitive weaponry is such that the simplest of household items can be used as a protective shield. Doors, chairs, and mattresses would all suffice. Aliens invariably have poor eyesight, and simply standing very still is often all that is required to avoid harm. And the diminutive proportions of the alien brain means that they are very easily confused. A simple method of protection is simply to wave one's arms around in front of the alien's face, thereby distracting them and enabling a hasty escape. And another result of the enemy's poor equipment is that in most instances, an observant citizen will usually hear the squeaking of their armor long before confrontation takes place, allowing plenty of time for evasion.
I'm assuming that's right out of this.
It probably is. Yep. It probably is. But, yeah, definitely cool. The, bot alert. Inform the Inquisition.
Oh, we got a bot.
Woohoo!
Kill it.
We made the
Kill
big
it with
times.
fire.
Made the big times. So there we go.
Yeah, wow. Our first bot.
Check out that.
Everybody remember. Yeah, that's awesome.
I know what I should be doing.
The autopsy.
There we go. I switched over. There we go.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I do love that picture.
But yeah, definitely good. The general observation was the subject's biology displays qualities redolent of both animal and fungal physiotypes. Fungal portions suggest a highly durable network of fungal microorganisms negating complex internal organs, immunosystems, and reproductive anatomy. Animal biology suggests primate analog, i.e. primitive pack-based omnivore. Twin systems segue perfectly, but lack evidence of evolutionary process. Conclusion, I would suggest that the subject is of highly advanced biological engineering, representing the perfect symbiosis of simple, durable, aggressive organic systems. There we go.
And then, well, Cliff said that in the first Necron Codex, there's a reference that says the old ones and how they created the hardy Krork race as a weapon to help them fight in the War in Heaven. So, I mean, there's a couple different competing theories. Like that's in the lore, whereas like the theory about humans making it 20,000 years ago is just kind of like a fan theory, which is great.
Yep. Well, the other thing as well is that it's Warhammer stuff, so it's all unreliable narrator and it's all whatever story works best at the time. But the final one, I thought the Empire at War, and has that piece of artwork.
Yeah, that's an awesome work.
How killer is that?
That's really good. I like that.
So that piece of art was done before the plastic Savage Orcs were made, and I'm sure that it acted as the guiding principle for those.
So Dave and I were talking about, like you said, we were trying to find stuff that we might have that has orc stuff in it. And out of the extensive library that I have, I was like, I have Xenology also. And then I was like, well, I don't know if I have anything else that has orcs in it. And I do have the Apocalypse book. Yep. And this has this beautiful looking army.
Yep.
So that's pretty great. You got all of I'm a big fan of the giant Stompas. I love those.
Right. Yep.
So I had that, and then I have the Visions of the Dark Millennium from 6th edition, or 7th edition, which has an orc section. I was like, oh, it's probably loaded with stuff. It's not. It's 5 pictures. So that's a great picture. That was the, I think, 6th and 7th edition Codex that's had that orc on it. And then there's this, and it says it's Gork, or possibly Mork. And then you've got that, I believe, that was the Speed Freaks book when they released it as like a supplement, and then I think that's the 8th edition Codex.
Right, yeah, I think you're right.
And then that's when they did Grok, who had he got his own mini, a Grok Face Ripper, because you can still get Grok's Mob. And then who doesn't love a shock attack gun? Yep.
Fantastic.
The shock. I love the old rules for the shock attack gun. In I think it was either Rogue Trader or 2nd edition, where you'd shoot it at something and it had its own chart, like everything in the Orc Codex did. So you'd roll on the chart, and it was like on a 1, it like imploded, like it basically pulled him in and exploded. On a 10, the idea was that you took a unit of grots and it like sucked them into this machine and it teleported them across the board. So if you were a Space Marine squad, the idea was that grots started appearing inside your armor and they would just start eating you. And if it was a tank, they showed up in the tank and they would start attacking the crew. And I was like, that's just the best thing. The orcs were so zany, like I loved that. They were ridiculous.
They're snotlings.
Oh, right, sorry, snotlings.
Yep, for sure. Sorry, just give me a second. Yes, Chris Gorka, of course, said it was definitely Gork.
Yeah. There was so much fun stuff back in the Orcs. I loved that they were so unpredictable. Like you could roll really well and you could murder any army you went against, or you could roll terrible and your army would destroy itself.
Right. Yep.
Which was kind of the joy of running that list. I think when I worked at GW, I built an orc army, and I was trying to figure out this, because everybody's like, oh, well, orcs are huge. You have to run like 1 million of them. And I figured out a way that my orc army consisted of, I think it was like 8 models or 9 models. So I took a looted Land Raider, which was a huge chunk of points.
Yep.
And then I painted it red. I gave it armor plates, and I gave it rocket boosters. So then it moved way faster than a Land Raider should.
Right.
I did all the bolt-on weapons, and then I put Gazgul and a unit of Mega Armor Knobs in the Land Raider.
Yep.
And then the rest of the army was I had 2 units of. What did I take? I think I took 2 units of boys, and I made them like minimum units. Like I think it was like 5 and 5, and then I took 3 zap guns, and that was my whole army.
Right.
So the idea is like it would start, and I would just whip the Land Raider across the board at you, and then I'd shoot stuff with the zap guns, and then the Land Raider was going to get to you. You couldn't stop it, and then Gazgul would get out with his Mega Knobs, and they would just murder their way from one side of the board to the other side of the board.
There's the frustrating part really is that's like you look at that army and go, oh, it's not an Orky army, but
It absolutely is not.
But its tactics are completely Orky. That's exactly what they'd do if they could, for sure.
Oh, so good.
I'm torn by going, no, more boys. Yeah. But it's like actually, that's not too bad. That's okay.
It's like my thought process was that they were like, well, it's as dead hard as you can make it. Like it's like we got the biggest tank and we made it the fastest tank with the heaviest armor.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fair. That's all good. Eric said yes. 1 virus grenade could kill the whole Orc army on turn 1.
Yep.
Yep. That's terrible. Virus grenades are terrible. Wasn't something about the Orcs were created by the Brain Boys to fight the Necrons?
Maybe.
Possibly that could be what Cliff was referencing earlier, Jeff.
Yeah. Old ones thing.
Yeah. She says, always loved when the Orcs were viewed as a fun army relying on... what's that word?
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, animosity test in Warhammer Fantasy Battle, even better than merely bad rolls from dodgy weapons. Yep. The giant chart where he puts an enemy in his pants. It's all fun bits of humor. But yes, it was certainly a fun time to see the Orcs go through that humorous sage yet brutal hooliganism kind of approach.
Yeah, I mean, I love that whole idea. Like it's like a bunch of soccer hooligans like that are an army. Like it's fantastic. And they were still really good. Like you could make a really good army. You just would avoid the stuff that had all the wacky charts and stuff.
Right.
You know, it's like, okay,
if you wanted reliability,
yeah. You're like, okay, I'm like to your point. You're like, I'm just gonna take a bunch of boys, and I'm gonna take a bunch of battle wagons and stuff, and I'm just gonna come get you. I'm not gonna run, I'm not gonna run a bubble chucka or a lift a droppa or weird boys. Like I'm not gonna run any of that stuff because then it could kill my own army. So.
All these things are fantastic.
They were great.
I haven't thought of lift droppers or bubble chuckers for ages. But no,
so good.
Cool.
They're the best.
Built
the super custom Baneblade for Games Day 2007-2008 that made its rounds for the Baneblade battle. Then a huge 4-foot by 4-foot Orc Rock Fortress for the Glendale store. We should have pictures of them modified stomp for that. Yeah, like I remember a guy made an Adepticon. I think what the last thing they did the Armies on Parade thing.
Yep.
Some guy made an Orc Rock.
All right. Yep.
And he had it like it was like there was a cutaway section.
Yep.
So like you could see like all these gantries and stuff that he made with like orcs running around on it. It was like the mentality of them is it's like an anthill in space.
Right.
And like you poked a hole in it, now they're mad. And they all come like boiling out to like find out what's going on like that. Like I just love that. That's why they were super fun. I even love in the lore now, even now that it's like serious Warhammer. It's serious. Even though it's serious stuff now. There's the whole thing where it was at the end of 7th or 8th edition or something. There's the whole thing where there's the arsonist of Carcharodon is coming out of the Carcharodon sector, and there's a splinter of there's a high fleet like Leviathan or something is coming towards the same area. So this Inquisitor deliberately exterminatuses a couple of planets to have the Leviathan swarm sort of Pac-Man its way and change direction, and it smashes into the Orc sector,
Right.
and now they're just fighting, and the Inquisitor's like, this is great, and then another Inquisitor's like, except at some point one of them is going to win, and either the Tyranids are going to win and they're going to eat all the Orcs and then there's more Tyranids, or the Orcs are going to win and they're going to be bigger and stronger than any Orcs we've ever seen before.
Yeah.
I just love that they were like, well, you guys fight it out in the closet for a little while. We're going to keep doing our thing over here. Like, that's just great.
But for the next 100 years, they'll be fighting, and we'll be dead by then.
That's so
Somebody
good. I love
else's
it.
problem.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah, Manowar. Yeah, they're really fun in Manowar too. They're a good list.
Yep. So just quickly, just had every sprue is an orc sprue if you're creative enough.
That's true.
This is true.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
It's all about their conversions. I think that's been one of my favorite things about orcs over the years is just hardcore orc players working entirely to like creating all sorts of things, taking existing models and converting them into orc models, or scratch building completely new orc models, particularly vehicles and war machines and terrain and all sorts of stuff. So and in
I really like the
Manowar and Battlefleet Gothic.
And I really like I think one of the coolest conversions I've seen is when who's the big guy, the big Orruk war chieftain, the guy that's on like the huge base.
Okay.
It's a single mini. I
Yeah.
can't remember his name, but like I think he's a named character, but like you can just buy the miniature.
Okay.
But so it's like an Orruk war chieftain or whatever.
Right,
He's this huge orc wearing heavy armor.
Yep.
And
He's got that
he
enormous
came
skull on
out-
his shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he came out like 2 years before they released Gasgul. So somebody at our store converted him into Gasgul.
Nice.
And he looks phenomenal. Like they gave him like a giant power claw, and they painted that skull to look like a Tyranid skull.
Oh, nice.
And they put like guns on his arm, and like he just looks great. But that model is such a cool model.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I own him. It's one of the few orcs that I own because I was like, yeah, that I need to own that model. He looks great. But yeah, they're super fun. Yeah, it's just it's the Orruk mega boss.
Right. Yep.
But he's great. And then the even better one is if you buy the Fist of Gork, which is the mega boss on the Angry Cabbage. That
Right.
thing is just phenomenal. It is like one of the coolest models ever.
Yep. We've got a picture of one of those a little bit later.
Oh, the cabbage? Oh, dude, he's
Yep.
the best. I love his rules. He gets mad. He just like stomps around.
Yep. So yeah, Chris is suggesting it's the Orc Mega Boss. So
All right.
that's
What do we got? What do we got from minis? Let's check them out.
let's check some of those. Okay, so the first one we have is from Ben Williams. It's a crazy orc. I haven't seen this model before, but I think it's fantasy orc, so it's an orc with a C. He's got a bit of a adventuring kind of backpack on. Armor plates, rough and ready armor plates on his upper arms. Wooden shield, club. Anybody recognize this model? Josh?
I don't know what that's from. He's cool. I don't know what range he's from.
Yep. I don't know either.
Definitely nice looking though.
Yep. So just Scott said painting orcs is the most fun. It's like painting Nurgle. There are no wrong answers. Skin tones are all game. So yeah, you can work everywhere. I was thinking about that today actually. Scott, such a broad variety of skin tones that you can go for with your orcs. Even just working within greens. But when you start to push it out to a lot of other fun colors, I've seen some fantastic reds and oranges on an orc skin. But yeah. Oh, Chris says sorry. Yeah. Chris says maybe Cromlech. It could be Cromlech. Could be a Cromlech piece. But no, it looks fantastic. I think Ben's done a great job with there.
I like that he has a guitar on his back too.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe it's a maybe it's an orc bard.
Maybe. Yeah, he could be an orc bard.
Or he could have a bard strapped to his back.
Also valid.
Could be the possibility. But yeah, beautiful work there, Ben. Looks great.
He looks great.
Next up, we have this shaman from Chris. Chris Gawker. This is super cool. I love Chris's rendition here. I've actually, over the last year and a half, 2 years, I've painted a bunch of orcs and orc adjacent models on commission, and one of them was this model. But, yeah, Chris has done an excellent job. I love that sort of that magenta sort of flare to the smoke up the top.
Yeah, Chris always does you always do a really good job making your colors look like super subtle and like flat, and they're blended really well, and then like crazy pops of color that like pull your eye.
Yep.
Because like even the black on his cloak, like it's very subtle. We talked about this a lot when we were talking about difficult paint jobs. It's so hard to make black look good. It either looks too flat, or it ends up looking like has tons of gray stripes on it or blue tones. Like it never looks like black, and that looks like black. It's just done super, super well.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely cool. Chris says, believe it or not, the Cruel Boys and Iron Jaws have been my first orc army. No, that's cool.
The Cruel Boys are great. The skinny orcs that worship Mork, they're like cunning but brutal.
Yeah,
that's
rather
supposed
than
to be
brutal but cunning. Yeah, yeah, no, definitely good. Speaking of Cruel Boys, Mr. Edders, the Fedders. This is his Cruel Boy boss on Nashtoof. I think that's what it's called. I haven't got all the names correct yet. But yeah, looking really good. And the thing, obviously, I'm going to have to call it out, Cliff. I'm really excited that you've painted the base for this one.
100%.
But yeah, it looks really good. And that, I think that's some of the Nurgle's Rot technical paint.
Yeah, dude. The technical. I'm sorry. People can complain about Games Workshop's paints as much as they want. I really like their paints. Their technical range is one of the best. It is so good.
Yep.
Blood for the Blood God. I can't get enough of it. Like the Nurgle's Rot is amazing. Typhus Corrosion, all that stuff. It's all super good. But yeah, Cliff, you did awesome. I really like the way you did like the skin tone on the what's the thing called?
Nashtooth.
Like the skin on the Nashtooth, like that looks real. It looks like it looks like someone shaved their dog. Is what that looks like. It's great.
Yeah. It is grim, isn't it?
Yeah. The spear is super cool. Like the spear looks great. The green. I really like the shield, like the leopard kind of spotting on the face.
Yep. No, he's done an excellent job there. And yeah, the scare shield, whatever they're called.
Yeah, those are so funny. I love that whole idea.
Yeah, it does look brilliant, and I do like that the skin's got a bit of a purple tone to it, so that really enhances, like pushes that yellow forward on it, which looks nice. But yes, Cliff said with a convenient base.
Yeah.
Yep. Don't think I didn't notice, Cliff. It's there. Excellent.
He did the classic one that I do a lot, which is he trimmed it looks like he did scorched earth for like or not scorched earth, they don't make that anywhere. It's the like dryad bark or something, or rhinox hide for the brown, and then he trimmed the base with Steel Legion drab, which is like the classic move. Because we all used to use scorched earth, and then we had to step over to that. But
it's charred brown is the great replacement for scorched brown. Definitely good. Charred brown from Vallejo, game color. So next up, we have a little bit of a movie from. Let's see if. Yep, there we go. They're playing. Hooray! There shouldn't be any sound on it. But
nice.
So yeah, this is some of the what are they called again? They're not ball boys.
Those are the. Yeah, well, I mean they're boar boys.
They're ball boys, essentially.
Yeah, they're the oh god, what are they called?
Gore grunters. There we go.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep, the Iron Jaws gore grunters.
But they're boar boys. I mean that's
yeah. Yep. But these guys there we go. Next up, I think I have a picture of them. Yeah.
I love the checkers on them.
Just quickly, there's some others there. So part of a commission, I think I had 12 to paint. So I ended up painting 4 groups of 3. So like 3 on white furred boars, 3 on black-furred boars, and 3 on grey, and 3 on brown. But these models ended up being so much bigger than I originally thought they were.
Yeah, they are not small.
They are not small models. No, they're huge. But lots of great details, and yeah, had a lot of fun painting those faces.
It's so funny what a change they are from the old boar boys. So the old boar boys were like, 5 bigger orcs, like almost knobs, riding these teeny tiny little pigs.
Yep.
And the new ones are like these giant rhinoceros-sized razorback boars.
Yep.
With even big like orcs on them.
Even bigger orcs on them. Yeah.
Like,
the orcs look tiny on there.
Man.
Yep. But yeah. Gorgrunts. Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Definitely. Chris says nice. These are some brutal looking Gorgrunters. Yep, they are. I'm very happy with how they turned out.
Yeah, they look dynamite.
Just says, never noticed no armor in the back. Makes sense, because why would orcs need back armor?
Right.
They do actually have some armor on the back plates, but not a lot. Oh, you mean I might mean on the orcs, but yeah, orcs are always going to be going forward.
Right.
They'll never be running away. They're going to need the armor on the front.
Yeah, those models are great.
It's
They actually hit pretty hard. Adam at the store, Pratt had an army that was like, it was the war boss on the Maw Crusher, and then 4 units of 3 Gorgruntas, and then like the shaman. That was, and the war chanter, and that was basically his whole army. And I was like, man, that thing hits like a train.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of the Maw Crusher, it's the one I painted for that army. So yeah, he was pretty insane beast as well. I think I ended up painting him with the wings separate. Like, so the orc on the back was separate, the wings separate.
Yeah, you have to, because you can't get to his body otherwise.
But I did.
He's like a rose. Like the wings come up around the body.
Yeah. Yep. It's just like that. But I would keep I kept putting them on and off so that I could see how far I had to paint.
Yeah. You definitely don't need to paint a bunch of them.
If you don't need to paint a lot of the stuff under there, they're going to. But
the idea behind him, like, I swear to God, somebody in the design studio was like, "What if we took a silverback gorilla and a wyvern and crossed them?"
Yep.
Because I'm like, it's not a dragon; it's a wyvern. He has He has front wings.
Yep.
And then his arms, and then he has back legs, and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's such a great. I love the mask. I always do the mask on it with like the tatters.
Right. I wanted to do that, but my client didn't. He liked it without. So.
Right on. Yeah, I get it.
Fine.
Customer's always right, except when they're not.
Well, customer's always right in matters of taste. I think it's the full quote. So, but yeah, definitely good. We saw those guys.
He is such a cool model, though.
Yeah.
He's one of the few things in Age of Sigmar that can kill Archaon.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Like if he gets the charge off and he hits Archaon,
yep,
he has the math to do enough damage to kill Archaon.
Right.
He's one of the only units in the game that can do it in one turn.
But you don't want to rely on math. So what you're saying is take 2 of these guys against Archaon.
Yeah, definitely just hold Archaon down and just take his lunch money.
Right. Nice. Awesome. Next up are some. I don't think they're actually called orcs, but they're very much an orc goblin sort of hybrid. These are from Bardsung.
Yeah. These models are great. Those are bandits and that's a bandit, a brute,
the
and
Reavers. Is that what they're called? The Reavers. Yep. So Josh says, my first ball boys were the Marauder Minis ones, the 5th, 6th edition ones were so large. The old ones look puny. They did definitely. So it said, I hate that the rider isn't in some kind of saddle or throne. I don't like the surfer look at all. That's fair. I think it's an acquired taste.
Yeah, he's like chained onto the dragon.
Yep. Dave says, math hammer. Just as math kills. That's right. Try to avoid it at all costs. That is fair. Yeah, just because somebody tells you that the Maw Crusher can kill Archeon in one turn, don't believe him. It's not gonna happen.
You try it out for yourself, but he can.
It's like me suggesting that my twin Gravis Melter Cannon Contemptor is going to take out a Spartan every turn.
It could.
It could, for sure. I'll totally say it could. It won't, but it could. But yeah, these guys were a lot of fun to paint. And talking about that sort of varied skin color sort of aspect. Actually, with these models, I started with a green undercoat and worked everything up from that dark green. So the silver is worked up from dark green. The skin color is worked up from dark green. But yeah, it was a lot of fun to work on these.
So, I mean, you did a great job on these, Dave. They look great. But this whole box, like, we carry it. Bard Song is amazing. Like, what a fun game. It's basically like it's a cross between like Descent and like Dungeons and Dragons, but like as a board game. Right. And it's all modular. So it comes with a million little pieces. I think it's like 72 models or something, or 68 models. And it's a procedural dungeon. So you put down a tile, you put in your hero, and then you pick a direction, and you can explore through the dungeon as you go, and you run into like these guys, and there's a bunch of classic monsters. Do you own the box set?
I don't. No, these were I painted these when I was painting Happy Little Minis.
Okay.
So I don't actually have these models at all. I just have the photo of them.
There's some super fun stuff in that box.
Yeah.
There's like there's a gelatinous cube, which is done really cool. It's like square shaped, and it's like coming up like with a mouth in the corner, like it's gonna eat somebody. There's a rust monster. They can't call it a rust monster because that's owned by Dungeons and Dragons.
I painted that one. Yep.
There's a hook horror. The hook horror I love.
Right.
But they are so good. There's so many great minis in this set, and it's a really fun game too. Like I use all the minis when I play D&D as well, but like the models are awesome. It's such a good game.
Leona says, no, they're lost to the basement. Hi, Leona. Thanks for joining us. Leona was the producer of Painting Happy Little Minis back in the day. Unfortunately, Leona left just before the show went on hiatus. But no, Leona, I think they're in the Bard Sung box somewhere in the Alliance offices.
You can just ask Johnny if you can be like, Johnny, can you sneak me that Bard Sung box that I'm sure was a write-off and you guys didn't pay for it anyways?
Yep. Send it out. But, oh, there we go. Dave knows Leona. But, yeah, no, definitely some fun stuff. And I really enjoyed taking a different approach on these guys because they weren't for an army or they weren't for anything. They were just to have fun painting. But speaking of having fun painting, next up, we got a piece from Jeff Smith, which is, yeah. So this is a Forge World piece. When Forge World back in the mid to late 90s, or late 90s really, were doing large scale models rather than just doing Imperial Guard tanks.
With tiny Ragnar.
Yep. So yeah, Ragnar there for scale. That's actually the biggest version of Ragnar, isn't it? The Primaris version. But yeah, you can get a really cool idea for how big that orc is. Which character was that? He was a character from like the fourth or fifth edition book.
Yeah, that's not what's his name?
It's not Gorfang Rockgut?
No, I don't think so. I don't remember. Yeah, I mean, but like you can see the scale. What I was talking about, like compare him to like the Gorgrunters in terms of scale,
right?
And like the boar is not really that much bigger than he is.
Yep.
like
Mind you, looking at it now, I think that boar may have been based on the Chaos Mammoth model that Forge World did.
Oh, maybe
they're probably pretty similar size.
Jeff says it's Grotfang.
Grotfang. Okay. Oh, right. Okay. Just straight up Grotfang. Gorfang Rotgut must come later. But
it's a great kit though. He did an awesome paint job on it too. Like the stone looks really good. His fur looks awesome. The green tones on like his face and his shoulders and stuff looks great.
Yep. Yeah, I love it. I think I love the sword too. That sword's got some great rust and patina on it. Looking nice. So that's the lone orc to survive that war with the mids.
Yeah, he's what's left.
It is. He's absolutely huge, riding a mammoth. But no, awesome work there, Jeff. It looks great.
Do we have a in all the photos and stuff? Do you have a? Does someone paint one of the new Gaskulls?
No, we don't have a gas.
Oh.
Unfortunately. Sorry.
He's great. That model is phenomenal. He's bigger than the old Dreadnought.
Oh yeah. Yep.
He is huge.
He's not bigger than the current Dreadnought.
He's not bigger than like the. He's probably close to a Contemptor. He's a Leviathan is bigger than him, and the Redemptor is definitely like bigger and taller.
Okay. Right here.
But those are the only two. Like he's huge.
Right. Yeah. Excellent. So next up, we've got a few shots coming up from Scott. So Scott sent us some photos of his perpetually work in progress Cromlech Orc army. So these are
Nice.
the World War II inspired orcs from Cromlech. Cromlech are out of Poland, I think.
Yep.
There. But yeah, these are looking nice. I mean, as we know, Scott's does some fantastic painting.
Yeah.
We've got that Grot Pain Boy on the left, the boss in the middle, and his offsider on the side there.
Scott has become like the king of green tones. Like if it's anything's like green, if it's greens and grays, like Scott's gonna ace it. Like it just looks awesome. Like the tones, the guy on the right, the tones on his face, like the really lighter greens on like his cheekbones and tips of his ears and stuff, and then it fades all the way down into almost like, I'm assuming it's either black or super dark green, like right above his teeth, and then like the coat and stuff. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, they look super cool. And next up, a fantastic Panzer Shrek unit.
Nice.
I always get. I think it's struggle. I'm pretty sure this is the Panzer Shrek. There's the Panzer Faust as well, but that's much smaller.
Yeah, the Panzer Faust looks like a football in the end of a tube.
Right. Yep. So Panzer Shrek there, but yeah, looking good. So these look like grots. The scaling on those heads. They look great. Oh, nicely spotted there. Oh, sorry, Scott said treasures made by Dragonforge. It's on a. Just on some amazing Dragonforge trenchboard bases. Excellent. Nice one, Jeff. No, they're definitely super cool. So yeah, while Jeff's in the chat, it's one of my Blade Slaves on a Necros 13 base from Dragonforge.
Dude, I'll tell you what, once we hit, because I love the idea of the Blade Slaves. Once we hit like 250 subscribers,
Yep.
I'm gonna put up a Stardew Layak and the Blade Slaves like band T-shirt.
Oh, nice. That'd be super cool.
I'm gonna all like calls, like all these like dates across like the galaxy.
Fantastic. Do you see who's at the back here?
Yeah, I see him.
He's still waiting.
That's the front man himself.
Yep. So he's got
There is.
He's got his reds on him now.
Coming to the main stage, Stardew Layak and the Blade Slaves.
So he's got some work, and I've got the Spartan over there.
Dude, so good.
But anyway,
Yeah, these guys are great.
Scott, yeah, excellent job there. Of course, this is my my favorite pick coming through there. So it's taking one of the half tracks, sort of the orcified version of a German half track.
Nice.
Which looks really cool. I converted some of the orc trucks to be. I retrofitted them to be Imperial Guard half tracks and trucks because I like the idea that when that orc truck came out, there was like, this must have been looted. It must have been an Imperial truck and it was looted by the orcs. What do I need to strip it back, turn it back to its Imperial form? But
I love that. Dave, did you do this one?
No, this is Scott. This is part of Scott's.
Scott,
Cromlech.
I love that I love that it has the giant like scoop blower in the hood with the flames painted on it. Like the orcs are like, look,
Yep.
we'll have it all cool, tactical green colors like the humans do, but also we should drop like a huge like looted Hemi engine into it, like with a blower on the front and paint flames on it. It's ridiculous. I
Yep.
love it.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely super cool. But yeah,
I'm
really
so
nicely
in love.
done. Excellent work there. And I think this is the last one that we've got from Scott. So it's a like a command squad. I think so. There's a Panzer Shrek in there. Guy with a grease gun.
And these are all Cromlech orcs?
Yeah, they're all Cromlech models. But yeah, so.
Do they have little Imperial Eagles on their helmets?
Probably. Well, they're going to be blood axes, aren't they? They have to be
Yeah,
blood
that
axes.
makes. So they're in disguise.
Yep.
Yeah, these are great. The banner, the boss pole looks awesome.
Yep.
I love that offset turquoise with like the sort of like the tan color.
Yeah, it does look
Super.
good, doesn't it? Yeah, nicely done.
Leslie Cliff says Leather Daddy Banner Bearer. Yeah, I mean he definitely is a Judas Priest fan, like, you know.
Yep.
And the
That's
law.
great. But no, I love those. You've done an excellent job on those, Scott. Looking super cool.
Those are great.
Very nice.
Dude, paint the King Tiger. I want to see it.
Yeah, definitely. We want to see
100%. Come on, man, get on it.
that'd be awesome.
Make that happen.
And because I've been working on the last the final stages of the books, I wanted to pop a couple of pics in there. However, these probably gonna look very bright on the screen, like oversaturated, because they are CMYK images rather than RGB images.
Okay.
Because they're CMYK, because they're from the book. Book's needs to be CMYK to print.
Right.
So, so that's why they look a little bit crazy, because they look just fine on the screen for the thing. But this one is from Keith Edmead. Oh my god, job done soon here.
Hopefully that means he's getting out. He just jumped on, so you can always go back and watch the whole thing. But
Yep.
Scott, I like how you're like, it's all Cromlech. You have an Orc King Tiger, which is different than an Orc Tiger King. If you make a Tiger King that's Orky, it has to be an Orc with like a terrible mullet, and he's like, I'm never going to financially recover from this.
That'd be fantastic. You can go back to that. Was that Savage Orc?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Where's that pic? Where is it? Yeah, there we
Scott,
go.
you got
Give it a
yeah,
tiger.
there you go. Scott.
Give it a tiger.
Yeah, give him a tiger pelt,
Tiger pelt.
and give him like tiger print stuff, and like give him a terrible mullet and a mustache.
Yeah.
And you should have him driving your King Tiger.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. But yeah, so here's this is a bust of an orc pirate from Leban models, Leban miniatures, painted by Tommy Sewell. And yeah, it's just a super cool approach. The green is not that vibrant in real life,
Right.
but and it won't be that vibrant in the book, in the pictures, but yeah, it's just coming out that way. But it does-
The metal on the belt buckle and on the end of the belt
Oh yeah,
looks real. Like
it
it
does,
looks like
doesn't
it's aged. Like that looks like real metal.
yep. And that leather, the leather on the hat, and the leather on that belt, look fantastic as well.
Yeah, it's so good.
But I love the eyes.
Yeah.
Zoom in really close.
I can tell that he has eyes. I
Right.
can't really.
Well, that's because they are super small in that bust, but like
He's kind of
really
looking
close.
this way, right? He's kind of like looking.
looking off to the side.
Okay.
And that cheeky orc grin with a bit of a side eye. But yeah, definitely looking it's looking super cool. And yeah, Cliff says loving the leather tricorn.
Scott says, as a gamer, Tiger here reminded me of those psychos who insist on rolling up the characters purely randomly and just taking what comes.
That's funny. That's funny. You mean rather than the ones who go, okay, for this stat, I'm going to roll 66 and take the best 3, and for this stat, I'm going to roll 5, 4, 3, 2.
All my worst stats here.
Yeah. It's
No, he's fun. That's good. I've never done a bust. I've only I've never done a bust. I've done some like scenic pieces,
right,
and I've done like terrain pieces, like statuary and stuff, and I've done tons of minis, but I've never done any kind of like part figure bust thing.
Right. Yeah, I haven't done any either, and I think this is like Tommy's done 4 busts. This is one of the 4 that he's done. And he's
a buddy of mine loves doing them. It's like his go-to is he'd rather paint busts, and I was like, okay.
Yep, that's great. I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff, and when like there are some fantastic busts out there, just brilliant sculpts, and when a whole bunch of people get them all at the same time and they start working on them, and some people work towards the what do you call it, the box art, and some people work a little bit away from the box art or something, but then you've got some people who go like a long way from it and come up with their own thing that's really crazy. I love to see that sort of stuff as well. But the last one that we've got here looks even more vibrant than Tommy's, so I'm not sure if I should show it.
Should I turn down the resolution on my screen so I'm not blinded?
Yeah. Just turn down the intensity. But here we go.
Leona says she likes the edges of the leather. Yeah, I mean the leather looks real. It looks like well-aged leather.
Yep.
Nice. That's the boy.
Excellent. So that's that war boss. Converted very differently, of course. But this is Sani DA. And I think it was his first entry into Golden Demon. That he did, it looks like 2019.
It's very Aztec themed.
Yeah, it's got a very jungle kind of approach. The whole model, like the model is up on a kind of like a little platform kind of thing that's held up by branches, and there's a little there's a little rivulet of water that comes across it and goes down onto the base, which is further down below. There's a squig down on the base. All sorts of craziness.
I like that he converted the weapons. He has 2 Makahedals, the like the stone clubs with the spikes coming off of them. Like that's super cool.
Yep.
And he has a Crusader shield like nailed to his shoulder.
Yep. No, they definitely.
Or Conquistador's shield nailed to his shoulder.
Yeah.
That model that is a great. That kit in general is just dynamite, but this is a great paint job.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, he has definitely been out crumping heads in Lustria.
Without a doubt. But he does look spectacular. There's quite a few more photos in the book. But it's been really exciting working on it.
He's super cool. I like it. Yeah, it's a very subtle thing, but I like the coloration he did here on like the webbing of the hand.
Right.
Like you grab stuff, like the pressure, like makes your that's where your knuckles go white and stuff.
Yep.
That's such a cool way to show that. Like he's really like grabbing that.
Yep.
Very subtle, but very, very realistic detail.
It does look awesome, and he's got some modeling. If you look at the top of the head and towards the back over the neck, he's got some modeling on the skin there,
nice.
Which looks fantastic. But it is a colorful thing. It is a colorful model.
There's a lot of colors going. There's like the whole rainbow here. You got purples, you got blues, you got tons of greens, you got some reds and oranges and yellows.
Yep.
His metal looks really good too. Yeah, it's a really nice paint job.
It's super crazy. But it's even better when it isn't being distorted by RGB monitors and
CMYK.
The CMYK application.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, that's it. That's what we've got for.
I'm kind of surprised. Like not as many orcs as I thought we would get. I thought we would get inundated.
Well, I mean, I think orcs are an odd one. Obviously, orcs are odd, but when you're talking about the orc army that had like 20 guys in it,
Yeah.
and I was like, that's not an orc army. I think there's a lot of people have got that very much that feel that orcs and orc armies are big. You got to have a lot of them for them to
Yeah.
look good, and it's one of those things like you just want to see hordes. You want to see that green tide sweeping across the field, and there's a lot of work in that. So
yeah, they're really good. Like the current rules for them now is awesome. Like they are super fun. They're a really competitive list. You can make a bunch of different versions of them.
you're talking about orcs for 40k.
Yeah, for 40k. Like they're, but even like both the Orc what are they? Orc war tribes, Orc war clans.
Yep.
Like the war clans for fantasy are really good. The 40k orcs are awesome. And then even if you're a Lord of the Rings guy, like the Urukai list is really good. Like if you run like Lurths and all those guys, like
Yep.
the Urukai are great. They hit super hard. But yeah, I'm with you. I think a lot of people kind of get overwhelmed by the fact that they have to paint a million guys. Did you ever see the? I'll have to find it somewhere. There's a girl who paints online, and she showed people how to do tonality using just zenithal.
Okay.
And this is a couple years ago. This is before the contrast paints were out. So she basically primed a bunch of orcs black, and then she sort of 45 degreed them with like gray,
Yep.
and then zenithal dusted them with white,
Right.
and then washed the whole model with. I don't know if it's like a Thonian camo shade, but it's some sort of green shade.
Sure.
And they look phenomenal. They are literally some of the nicest looking orcs I've ever seen. And she did them like that. They were super fast. And then she went back and she's like, and then I'll go back and I'll paint like the armor and the metal plates and stuff, and I'll paint like their teeth. And I was like, the bulk of the work is done. Like they look so good.
Yeah.
Okay. It's Dana Howell? Okay, that makes sense. They're literally one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Like I never even thought like, oh, you could just zenithal and hit them with green. And now with contrast, it's probably even easier. But they looked so good, and they're nice and dark. They have that like really dark tonality and all the muscles.
They
on
got
their
excellent
arms.
depth. Yeah.
Yeah, they look great.
Yeah. Great. More contrast than you get from a white prime and contrast paint.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, instead of them just being bright green on goblin green bases.
Yeah. But
I still want to do.
just quickly. I'm gonna say hi to Rick. He says that he casts disbelief on you.
Doesn't work. I'm real son. I think one of my favorite like theoretical armies I want to do is I want to do a Mad Max themed orc army.
Sure.
And just do like I want to like convert the battle wagon because now you have the new battle wagon kit out. It's like it's one of my favorite kits. I think it looks amazing.
Sure.
So I want to make like the war rig, and I want to have a bunch of the buggies and put like pole cats, have the orcs on like the poles and stuff.
Yep.
And then make all my orcs really really pale green, and then basically spray their teeth all chrome.
Yep.
I think it'd be a really fun way to do an orc list that's going to look really weird and different. So.
Yep.
This slap chop. There's a lot of that going on now. It's become a really really fast way to do it.
Yeah. Essentially, it's just spraying things white and using contrast paints, right?
Yeah.
So just gave it a snappy title.
Yeah,
it's really what it is. And they execute it quickly. So
I still think if you use zenithal them, I think you're always going to get better results than just priming them.
Sure. Yeah. I'd agree.
All right. We got so Orc minis is super fun to experiment on. More people should pick up more of them and as one-offs. Just mess around with them. It's going to look good. You can't do that jungle orc with the arenas of ace spinning. That's so good. Check out Eons of Battle. He made an Immortan Joe Warboss. I'll have to check that out.
Excellent.
Dan Howell's video on glazing minis using squigs is freaking amazing. Yeah, squigs are great too. Like, talk about another idea that's just phenomenal. You're like, what is it? You're like, it's kind of like if a gumball and a dinosaur had a baby,
right?
Like, they're like the weirdest looking thing. It looks like a tadpole with legs that has a giant mouth.
Yep.
Like I think squigs are amazing.
I don't know if you remember if you went to it or if you saw photos from it, but Games Day 2009, I think, in Baltimore. They got it was right at the time when Ace of Cakes was big.
Yeah, he's based in Baltimore.
Yeah, yep. So they got Duff Goldman to make a squig cake.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was in connection with like the Warhammer Online. Sort of
Okay.
thing.
All right.
But it was the squig had it was one of the squigs with the grot inside that was controlling it, like,
Okay.
from inside its mouth. So, but yeah, it was a cake, and I think later in the day they ate the cake. But yeah, there was this big squig cake there, which is awesome.
A bunch of people remember it.
Yep.
I feel like Chris and David will remember it.
Yep.
Yeah, the squigs are great. I think they're phenomenal. The book that I was just editing, he has his squig riders.
Yep.
Those are I think those are the two mangler squigs.
Right. Okay.
Those are the mangler squigs are another one that's just a
Oh
phenomenal.
yeah, on Chris's book. Yeah, it's those two mangler squigs pulled separated and put in different directions. Yeah, absolutely awesome. I mean, the squigs are great fun. They're not orcs, but and they're sort of fairly particular to GW orcs, like to being associated with those orcs. You don't really find them anywhere else.
Did they ever? Are squigs like an orc subrace?
No, I think they're just. They might just be a different kind of fungus.
Okay. Yeah, because it's like orcs always have squigs, and I'm like, is it because they like are sub? Because like you've got orcs,
yep,
and then you've got all different size orcs, but then you've got like grots, and you have snotlings,
yep,
and then squigs. So I think they're all part of like they're just different varieties of mushroom, basically.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like portobellos and oyster mushrooms.
Yeah.
Different kinds of them. Mushroom. Yep, for sure.
I think you're right. I think 2009 was the last games day. What was the last one?
In Baltimore,
Yeah.
it was 2010,
Okay.
and the last one in the US was 2013 in Memphis.
Yeah, but nobody went to
So
those
2012 was in Chicago. 2011 was Chicago. In 2013. So 2011, 2012 was Chicago. 2013 was Memphis.
2008 was the last one that I went to.
Oh, okay. Right, yeah.
I think.
Yeah. 2013 in Memphis was the last one I went to.
Yep.
Which was actually won. So the Golden Demon there, Slayer Sword, was won by Tom Ailes, painted up an Idol of Gork. One of the Forge World Idol of Gorks. So, super cool. 2011, Dave had a great armies on parade display. Was that my Empire army? 2011, I think it was. Yeah, it was probably an Empire army. 2013, I had my Adeptus Mechanicus army in Memphis. No,
I love that.
Is that right? Yeah, I had that then. But yes.
All right,
sorry, just quickly. Josh says, speaking of Goblin Green bases, rumors of the old world are being whispered. Will we see Rankin and Flankin again? I think we will. They showed some stuff off on Friday. Was it Bretonians and Orcs?
Well, so they just showed artwork. They didn't show any, like they haven't shown any minis. They haven't shown really anything other than like the title, and then they showed like a Bretonian archer, or longbowman, and they showed like some orcs, and I was like, cool.
I think that the only thing that could trip this up is the possible 10th edition, but I think that next year will be Warhammer the Old World, and then they'll cycle through in 4-year cycles after that. So they'll go back to a 4-year cycle on renewing games. So 40k would be the year after, then Warhammer, then 40k history, 40k historical, which is Horus Heresy, so Horus Heresy 3rd edition, and then Warhammer historical, Warhammer the Old World 2nd edition. That's my thinking, is that they'll have those 4 that they'll just keep cycling through.
I think that makes sense. I mean, they put so much work into developing the games. It doesn't make any sense to. And I know that the mindset is they're like, oh, we'll just sell a bunch of more books, and I'm like, yeah, but you won't. Like, there's a handful of guys at our shop who have already talked about how they're not going to buy codexes anymore. Sure. And I was like, how are you going to play? And they're like, oh, you can just download the newest rules, and it's cheaper to just do that. because you know they're going to do an FAQ in X number of months.
Yep.
So I think a lot of people have gotten to the point that they've decided that they're not going to just continually buy, a disposable rule set that's going to be gone in a couple of years. I also think it would help them out too if you had a longer development cycle,
right,
where you could play test the stuff so that it's a little more stable, so you don't need to do an FAQ every 6 to 8 months when you release new armies. But we'll see. If they do it, I think Warhammer Old World would be super fun. I'll tell you right now, if they launch with Bretonnians and I get a new Green Knight, I'm 100% buying a Green Knight. Like he is my favorite.
Awesome.
Yep. Of the olds.
No, I think that's super cool. Yeah, I'd be really excited to see some. It's like a bit of a different exploration of the old world. I know that they've talked about Kislev and looking at that in a broader scope, and a lot of the discussions have kind of been connected as well with things that are popping up in like what is it? What's the name of the game? There's a video game. They got the third one out. Total War. Yeah, Total War or Warhammer 3 or Total War 3 Warhammer or whatever it's called, where they have the Cathay army in there as well. So again, there's a lot of development that's been done for that sort of thing that could easily be moved into, because that's still set in the old world.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that they could explore there. Cliff says you should Kit Bash a Greenskin Knight. That'd be great.
Yeah, put them on either the Angry Cabbage or put them on a Gorgrunta.
Yeah. Yep.
I still think it's kind of unfortunate that they blew up the old world. I really like Age of Sigmar. I think the setting is super cool. I love the minis. I think from a setting standpoint though, it's super like vanilla but also confusing.
I think it's when it first launched, I was super confused by it, and I'm a big fan of like low fantasy. Yeah. And Age of Sigmar is very much high fantasy, but it's taken me a while. But I've finally come to accept what it's about, and it's basically that whatever you want, you can do. There's a story somewhere that will fit whatever you want to do, so it's much more flexible and malleable than the old world. But I think, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter if they blow up the old world if you can go back and do Warhammer historical, which is
but where would they? It would depend on where they put it.
Well, they're putting it at the time of. I think they've already said they're putting it at the time of the three emperors.
Okay.
So when there was an
James says except for square bases.
Except for square bases, nice. But yes, Rick, I can't be answering your questions in the chat. Head to just send me some messages. But yes, just says I wonder if we're actually seeing Norsca armies or Cathay finally released. See, that's where the new minis are. The new minis are not in the other stuff. But at the same time, that the map that they showed with all of the various border prints areas. All the border prints areas so they showed a whole bunch of different border prints icons. It was like, there's a lot of stuff that they could do in there with new minis and new unit types and that kind of thing as well. So
I think the nice thing about the old world is, and up until the end times, it's super fun, right? It's almost like 40K in that you're like, well, there's no real lasting change because there's too many factions. Like there's too many people pulling on the rope. And then they were like, oh, let's make Chaos super powerful. And I was like, really? So, but like you're going to get stuff like Wood Elves would be back, which would be great because they don't exist right now. The Sylvaneth are just tree spirits. There's no elves.
Right.
You can bring back like the Dark Elf pirates.
Yep.
So you'd have like Corsairs, and you'll have all the sea creatures and stuff. I think it'll be super cool to see stuff in the Bretonnian range, which you're going to get all that back. All the different human like the subtypes, like you said, Cathay and Kislev and all that stuff. You'll get vampire pirates because you have Lustria. You can do more like of the lizard men because you can explore Lustria.
Yep.
Tomb Kings will come back because you'll have Cetra will be there. I just think there's cool stuff. So
yeah, Scott mentioned that they showed a Tomb King chariot in that article as well. So yeah, definitely.
I love it in the Age of Sigmar lore. Cetra is one of the Eternals. He's a Sigmarite.
Yep. Jeff says Old World is another Forge World project. Yeah, I think so. Totally right. Which is why I think might fit in with that that cycle of what they might do actually then is perhaps next year will be 40k 10th edition, and then the year after would be Warhammer of the Old World. So then they'll split the historical timing, which will be primarily Forge World products, but with big splash releases of new plastics.
This summer,
the backbone of it.
This coming summer will be it's Warhammer 40k 10th edition.
Right. Okay. So then the following year, then
July,
2004. But I think that's my prediction. Then is that they'll get on that kind of cycle. So I'm really thinking that. But yeah, interesting. But yes, halflings would be fantastic. What will we talk about next week? So next week is the next Tuesday around noon. I'll be launching the Kickstarter for Tremendous Tome. So perhaps we talk about small publishers.
Okay, we can do that.
So maybe we can put the spotlight on some small publishers. I can talk a little bit about publishing books and the wonderful trials and tribulations and things you got to keep in the back of your head while you're doing them. And for the folks can perhaps highlight their
like this, like smaller production houses do like minis. I got a bunch of small production house minis.
Yep,
tons of them.
And if folks we can talk a little about just any like small 1 or 2 man bands, shows, that kind of thing. But yeah, it'd be good.
Okay.
Just as like publishers that are under 5-6, yes.
Yeah, they have to be tiny.
Fantastic. So Rick says, I challenge you to talk about food you all like to eat when painting or working on crafting, especially if it involves maple syrup.
Yeah, Rick is obsessed with maple syrup. He collects maple syrup. He has tons of it.
He does. Yep. He deliberately moved to Michigan to be closer to the source.
I mean, if you wanted to be closer to the source, you moved to Vermont.
Well, he was living in Virginia, so Michigan is closer to Vermont.
Closer. I mean,
it's true.
Closer to that Canadian border.
Yep. He's moving up.
All right, so we'll do small publishers.
Small publishers. How's that sound?
That sounds good. All right, okay. So you go ahead, Dave. Do your thing. Where you're going to tell people about the.
Oh, tell everybody about the things that we've got to do. So because it's a YouTube and it's a YouTube channel, it is required by law that you hit like, subscribe, and leave us a comment. Not just in the chat, but an actual comment after the show, so that our video is boosted in the algorithm, and that the rising tide can lift all ships. Is the way it's been explained to me. But yes, so like, subscribe, comment, join the Facebook group, all that sort of fun stuff. But yes.
And again, thank you guys so much. We appreciate you guys all being here. It's always good to talk to everybody. It is a nice break from our hectic week that we get to pack this in and kind of hang out and talk about fun stuff for. We're doing pretty good this week. Only an hour and 40 minutes. So,
pretty good.
But thank you all so much, and we will see you guys next week. Don't forget, as always, to build, paint, and play.
Shut up and sit down. Shut up and sit down.